Good morning, afternoon, and evening. We are going to start our session 4 of the season 6 with the Epitome Glass Palace.
Okay.
So before that, we have our birthday celebration. November is the booming month. So we have 7 Saptarishi, as Milind calls us.
Wow. Great.
Don't be sad, don't you cry, just let go of your pain. And when you fall asleep, know tomorrow's a new day. It's a new day, so shine bright, look at your life, new day, so shine bright, look at your life.
So we have, other than Kumud, Gautam, Kumud is around or?
Kumud is asleep.
Okay.
Okay. Convey birthday greetings to her as well, and all of you who are here. Happy birthday! You guys
Birthday, yes.
are like pillars of this book club, together with all of us other book lovers. So, happy birthday, all!
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday, guys.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you all. But just one thing about sadness. Actually, it's Cripps' birthday as well in November.
Yeah.
Oh.
Obviously,
Yeah.
it's
I
sort
think
of
Cripps
sad
has been-
times, and
Okay.
you know,
Yes.
I feel kind of really sad. Yeah.
I didn't realize he is in November as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have one more happy thing to go about.
Oh, yeah.
So Milind, you want to say a few words?
Thank you so much, Srinivas. You made this look so glamorous and good.
It is.
And the music was also wonderful. I just want to say that this is a new chapter in all of our lives. And somebody asked me, so how does it feel? And I said, it feels like a father-in-law, though I don't know what that means. So I'm looking forward to this new chapter. And a lot of you are ahead of us in terms of the stage of life where you belong. So I'm glad to join the group that is ahead of us in this sense. So thank you again for all of your felicitations.
So you should actually get Seema on the line so that we can see both of you together and congratulate you.
Okay, one minute. Let me see if I can get her.
It's late, but yeah.
Yeah, let me see.
Yes.
And those are beautiful floral decorations, huh?
Yeah, lovely.
Really lovely.
Somebody was asking about whether weddings are as extensive and full of pomp. There
Yes.
you see.
Yeah,
There's the evidence.
absolutely wonderful.
Except I think Milind is saying it's stretched out for a week. So
Wow,
that's
fantastic.
cool. Yeah.
I mean, getting all that organized in India is becoming quite a pain. I mean, it involves a
Yeah.
lot of effort, and doing
Absolutely,
it in
yeah.
US must be something else. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
great.
my daughter's wedding, the family pitched in, so it was
Wonderful.
it was good. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Nothing unusual coming from Milind. This must have been a breeze for him, considering how he's been running the book club.
Yeah.
So here
Oh,
is
there she
Seema,
is.
if you can see her.
Let's
Hi
see.
guys, hi everybody.
Seema, congratulations.
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 Hi, Seema, congratulations.
Congratulations, yeah, congratulations to both of you.
Congratulations, Seema. Congratulations, Seema.
Congrats, Seema.
So,
Fantastic.
but
Thank you.
you know, the ladies 16ers did not get to see the photographs, huh? I'm told.
She's
What?
not on the group.
Huh?
I don't think Seema's in the group.
Oh, Seema
Well,
is
no,
not
I'm
in
in the group, but I don't know
You are.
most of the people, so I'm kind of
Oh.
quiet. I've met
Okay,
very
that's
few
all.
of the ladies, yeah.
But you can share some pictures. If
Yeah.
So Milind, make
Tell
sure
us
that the
about the
schedule
girl.
can affect the
Where's
book
she
club, I
from
guess, huh?
and what's a
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the
We'll do
session.
that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Does anybody wish Yanks a happy birthday?
Yeah.
Hey, Yanks, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I
Okay, now get to the session. Okay,
Lovely
so now
music,
we are back to the colonial era.
Yes.
Milind.
Very nice music choice, Srinivas, to celebrate this book. This epic novel reminded me of another one we read a while back and which many of us liked, which was Cutting for Stone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with that, let me pass on the mic to Vinita, who, as the reader of the month, has done a great job, not just picking this book with help from Manash, but also putting together a team of very good reflectors. So let's hear an overview of the book and theme from her before we listen to the reflections. Go ahead, Vinita.
Okay, can I have the... Yeah. Okay, but before I start, yes, I have to thank Manash. He's been a great help in getting everything together, not just in the selection of or the shortlisting of the books and finally all of you selecting this particular one, but also in terms of, I mean, for us to see how we would do the reflections, and we settled upon the idea that we would do it through the characters rather than going through the entire novel summaries. So that's why we are looking at the novel or reflecting on the novel on the basis of the main characters.
So
thank you, Manash.
Thank you, Vinita. You give me too much credit, but it's been whatever little I did, it's been a pleasure. So
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you both.
So,
go ahead.
So anyway, today's theme, this is correcting what Iranki just said. We're not back to the colonial era, so to speak, but the post-colonial era, because the novel is actually based on post-colonialism, and hence the theme post-colonial writing. For this, we have selected Amitav Ghosh's Glass Palace. Just a small introduction and one line, a definition of what we mean by post-colonial writing. So post-colonial writing is a critical response to colonial history, authentically articulating lived experience experiences of those whose voices were suppressed. Now, Glass Palace as post-colonial writing, the book brings out Amitav Ghosh's understanding and analysis of the working of colonial powers in Eastern countries like India, Burma, Malaysia, in such a way that the novel develops into a counter-narrative to colonial writing. In The Glass Palace, Ghosh challenges historical grand narratives and foregrounds the psychological and cultural aftermath of empire through the silenced voices of the subjugated characters of Rajkumar, Dolly, Uma, and others. He depicts how colonialism impacted them personally and in its broader social and political implication. The main characters that we are looking at are Rajkumar, Saya John, Arjun, and Dinu, Dolly, and Uma. And this is the way that the reflectors will be reflecting on it. Can we move the slide? Oh, where is the, sorry.
Do you see the slide? The next one? Summary?
I don't know where it's gone. Sorry, I think some problem here. Yeah, The Glass Palace is an epic historical novel written by Amitav Ghosh. It spans over a century and is set in 3 countries. It is a captivating saga that delves into themes of love, war, political upheaval, and cultural identity. The story begins in the mid-19th century and stretches through the 20th century, taking readers on a compelling journey through Myanmar, then Burma, India, and Malaysia. The novel opens in 1885 in Mandalay, the royal capital of Burma, during the height of the British colonial era. The narrative revolves around the life of Rajkumar, a young boy from India, who through a twist of fate ends up in Burma and finds himself entangled with the royal family. Rajkumar, an orphan of Indian descent, is taken under the wing of Dolly, a young Burmese woman who later becomes his lifelong friend and love interest. As the story unfolds, Ghosh paints a vivid picture of Burma's exotic landscapes, vibrant culture, and the opulent glass palace where the Burmese royal family resides. Amidst the grandeur of the palace, political turmoil brews as the British colonial forces march towards Mandalay to conquer the kingdom and take control of its rich resources. And in this case, it's particularly the emphasis is on timber. Yeah, next. The British invasion of Burma leads to the dethronement of King Thibaw and Queen Supayalat, and the royal family is exiled to Ratnagiri in India. Rajkumar, now a young man, follows them to India, where he witnesses the last remnants of an independent kingdom fall under the might of British imperialism. During this tumultuous time, he becomes involved in the teak logging trade under the mentorship of Saya John, which sets the stage for his eventual rise as a successful businessman. The novel follows Rajkumar's life as well as that of Dolly and her family over several decades. The story shifts between characters and locations, providing a panoramic view of historical events in Burma, India, and Malaysia. Ghosh masterfully weaves together the personal lives of the characters within the larger historical context, illustrating how the tides of politics and power affect ordinary individuals. As the 20th century progresses, the novel explores the impact of World War II and the Japanese occupation of Burma. The characters are confronted with new challenges, and the shifting political landscape forces them to adapt to ever-changing circumstances. The once prosperous glass palace now stands neglected and forgotten, mirroring the decline of the Burmese monarchy and the end of an era. Throughout the novel, Ghosh delves into themes of identity, exile, and the search for belonging. The characters grapple with questions of nationality and cultural heritage, especially those like Rajkumar, who have Indian roots but are deeply entrenched in Burmese society. The story also sheds light on the plight of immigrant communities and their struggles for survival and integration. In the latter part of the novel, the focus shifts to the experiences of the characters during and after World War II. As India moves towards independence and the British Empire crumbles, the fate of the characters is intimately intertwined with the political and social changes sweeping through the region. Thank you.
Thank you. Very done, Nita. I
Thank
know
you.
it's not by any means easy to provide an overview of an epic novel like this one, The Glass Palace, but you, as the reader of the one, did it with consummate skill. So thank you again.
Thank you, but I must thank all the reflectors as well, because they've all done a wonderful job. I must say that. Thank you, all of you. Yeah.
Of course. So let's get to the first of these really well done reflections, as Vinita said. And Abdul will lead with his take on Rajkumar. Go ahead, Abdul.
Sure. I must start with an apology. I was teaching very intensely over extended periods of time the last week, and my voice is kind of gone, so I'm starting to get my voice back. Ever since Amitav Ghosh burst into the literary scene with The Circle of Reason in 1986, he has been a prolific author, writing on a variety of themes. The Glass Palace is one of his more ambitious efforts, spanning a period of 120 years. Many countries like India, Burma, Malaya, Singapore, and Bangladesh, and a multitude of characters over many generations. Vinita asked me to focus on Rajkumar, and through him, colonialism's impact on identity. So I'll be just focusing on him. Identity, displacement, rootlessness, and the inner and external conflicts arising from these have been recurring themes in the work of Ghosh, and this book is no exception. Rajkumar and perhaps Dolly are the central characters of the book, with the Burmese royalty as supporting characters. The book opens with the 11-year-old Indian boy with teeth as white as his eyes and the skin the color of polished hardwood, marooned in Mandalay as the boat he was working on was undergoing some repairs. Rajkumar has virtually no family, and from a very young age, he has been supporting himself by working in a boat on the Irrawaddy River. 80 years later, his ashes were immersed in the Ganges. But for him, the Ganges could never be the same as Irrawaddy. Between his beginning and the end in the river, Rajkumar floats through the river of life, most of the time resolutely and successfully swimming against the current, but in the end, overtaken by the violent swirls of history and washed away by the inevitable currents of personal tragedy.
Wow.
Rajkumar is very much the ultimate self-made man. Although he starts as an orphan with nothing more than his lungi and a vest, at the height of his career, he becomes a very successful and wealthy businessman. He is a man of determination, single-minded and focused, and with an uncanny ability to spot opportunities. He is equally single-minded in his pursuit of Dolly from the day the British soldiers were marching into the palace of the Burmese king to that day in Ratnagiri when he wins her hand, of course with considerable help from Uma, an unlikely ally. Rajkumar is willing to take chances, and most of the time it works for him, except for his final gamble on teakwood. He bets everything on timber, only to see it go up in flames as the Japanese bombs rain all over Burma. It is ironic that on their last long and arduous trek to India, he is reduced to foraging for firewood because that was the only currency of trade among the refugees trekking their way into the Indian border. Rajkumar and Dolly are diametrically opposite in many ways, and that is perhaps why they complement each other so well. To begin with, their ethnicities and religions are different, but even more importantly, their personality traits are also very different. While Rajkumar is assertive, Dolly is self-effacing. She is satisfied within the four walls of the Outram house, taking care of the princesses, while Rajkumar is pursuing personal success. She possesses an inner strength which helps her to embrace a life of renunciation and finds peace as a Buddhist nun towards the end of her life. Ghosh explores the complex question of individual identity through Rajkumar and many of his other characters in the book. British colonialism caused one of the biggest migrations in history, especially for Indians. After the 1857 mutiny, thousands were exiled to many parts of the empire, as far as to modern-day Belize, which used to be called British Honduras. Then in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, many thousands were sent as indentured workers to places such as Fiji, Mauritius, Trinidad, Guyana, and South Africa. There was massive migration of Tamil workers to the plantations in Malaya and Ceylon. Thousands followed voluntarily, seeking economic opportunities, some working for the British directly, and others as merchants, priests, and entrepreneurs. In places like Burma and East Africa, very often the Indians found themselves pitted against the native populations, and in some cases even more disliked than the British by the natives. Even in India, the British Army and the police were almost entirely Indian. This, in essence, was the secret recipe that made colonialism an enduring success for almost 200 years, one of pitting one set of victims against another set of victims. It is in this context that we must examine the issue of Rajkumar's identity. In many ways, Rajkumar was a man without an identity, at least in conventional terms. He was neither Indian nor Burmese. He identified perhaps more with Burma than with India, as evidenced by his regular visits to the Burmese temple in Calcutta. In some ways, that was his way of invoking his own past than loyalty to a place. His children had both Indian and Burmese names, reflecting their divided identities. He owed his financial success to the opportunities that colonialism presented, and thus he was a beneficiary of it. If the Japanese won the war, he may have found ways to thrive under them as well. For someone who started out as an orphan far away from his homeland, survival was the sole goal, the singular focus of his life. His loyalty was to Dolly, not to any geography or government. He was proud of his son Neil, whom he saw as his continuation. In the last gamble of his life, he lost both his son and his wealth in his timber yard, and spent the rest of his life in reduced circumstances, confined to the four walls of Uma's house in Calcutta. Rajkumar is truly a tragic hero, a man who thought his iron will, hard work, and survivor's instinct could help him construct an identity that was not based upon the collective entities of race, religion, or language, but solely based on his actions and will. But in the end, he realizes that we are not masters of our destiny, but human floats are drifting in the currents set in motion by forces of history and politics beyond our control. The very fact that we are in this meeting together, discussing a book written by an Indian author in English, is a result of colonialism. The fact that we are now dispersed around the world is a result of modern economic forces over which we have no control. Identity is a complex issue that all of us grapple with every day. The real struggle is not the choice of which collective, namely religion, ethnicity, language, etc., to belong, but how to construct individual identities that transcend or sometimes even negate the identity that was nothing more than an accident of birth. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Abdul. So beautifully narrated and about your quality of writing. There are so many compliments in the chat box. I'll leave for you to read them. The
That's
ending
very
that
nice of you.
juxtaposed identity with an accident of birth that brings us all to this planet has set me thinking about how fortunate we all are to have met with that accident of birth. So thank you for that opening reflection, Abdul. So with that, let's move on to the second reflection on Saya John from Abhay. Go ahead, Abhay.
Yeah. Thank you. Just give me a minute. Let me get back. Thank you, Vinita, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I finally got down to reading a very fat book. All right. So, yeah, can we put the... yeah, I mean, one of the characters of this book is a guy called, his real name was John Martin, but he's called the Sayagi, the teacher. And of course, he's referred to as Saya John throughout the book. Interestingly, he was introduced in the very first chapter, and he's probably the longest lasting characters in the book. One of the longest lasting characters in the book. A lot of people come and go. They die during the various wars, but this guy is still there. So John Martin, referred to as Saya John, is one of the most interesting characters of The Glass Palace, portrayed as a man of integrity, piousness, despite his affair with Ma Cho, a non-Christian, and he every time he sees Ma Cho, he runs off to the church to cleanse himself. A man who is business savvy, wise, demonstrates incredible resilience. It's interesting how the author contrasts his character with Rajkumar. Rajkumar, who is restless, ambitious, but with restricted insights into business. For example, Rajkumar couldn't see the rubber going, the timber becoming less of a fortune, and the rubber was coming in. Saya John saw it and advised Rajkumar to get into rubber. And as we all know, timber was replaced by rubber, and rubber was finally replaced by palm oil, as the book also captures. So Saya guides and supports and looks after Rajkumar as his mentor and guide in a quiet and mature manner. In fact, Saya actually saves Rajkumar when the British were marching in. Probably they would have hit Rajkumar or killed him, I don't know. But Saya prevents the British soldiers from hitting Rajkumar. Amitabh constructs the character of Saya as a product of persistent but quiet ambition with maturity and wisdom, a product of colonial enterprise, yet a figure of spiritual wisdom, although we also see his character coupled with deviation that we just discussed, which are quite understandable with changing times in Saya's personal situations, such as loss of his wife when he was young, and he had a son also. So what I've done is I've tracked the character of Saya John through the incidents in the book. So Saya John's, his humble origins and rise in timber trade. When Saya John first appears in the very first chapter of the book, he is introduced as an experienced and disciplined foreman in the teak trade of Burma. He comes from Singapore, he's worked in a hospital, etc. So interesting background. But he is now in the teak trade when we first meet him. He is of mixed origin, a Malay Christian who began his life as a poor laborer. And his story of advancement through hard work and honesty immediately distinguishes him. Unlike Rajkumar, who views the world as an arena for acquisition, Saya John's success comes from patience, discipline, and moral steadiness. His rise from poverty is not driven by greed, but by survival and diligence, revealing his resilience and integrity. Saya John had come up from the very bottom, knowing every kind of hardship. His success was built on endurance and fairness. This is a sentence from the book. His mentorship of Rajkumar. One of the defining aspects of Saya John's character is his mentorship of young Rajkumar. When Rajkumar, an orphaned Indian boy adrift from Burma, seeks guidance, Saya John takes him under his wing, teaching him principles of the teak business, not only the practical aspects of trade and management, but also moral restraint and respect for labor. That's very important. He teaches Rajkumar to respect everybody, the laborers, the Usis, and everybody. He cautions Rajkumar against the excesses of ambition, urging moderation and humility. He tells Rajkumar that wealth comes and goes like the tide, a phrase that reflects his Buddhist-like detachment from material success. Through these exchanges, Ghosh contrasts. I can't see the last part. All right. Through these exchanges, Ghosh contrasts Sire John's steady moral compass and Rajkumar's growing desire for fortune. So that's interesting how the author sort of plays these two characters to weave in a very interesting story. Sire John's patience and measured nature serve as a moral benchmark against which Rajkumar's later choices can be judged. Next slide, please. His Christian and faith moral vision. Sire John's Christian beliefs introduced to him through missionaries add a spiritual dimension to his character. Unlike the colonial officials who used religion to justify domination, Sire John's Christianity is deeply personal, a faith of humility, service, and endurance. In one moving moment, he tells Rajkumar about the fragility of human life and futility of greed, invoking biblical teachings to express a sense of impermanence and compassion. After his interactions with Ma Cho, a non-Christian, Sire goes to the church to cleanse himself. He's extremely fond of and emotional about his son and is liberal enough to support his decision to marry an American later on. This faith gives him an inner peace and contrasts sharply with the material anxieties of the novel's more ambitious characters. His religious leanings also reflect the hybrid spiritual world of the colonial Southeast Asia, a mixture of European and Asian influences. Sire John's later life is marked by the political upheavals of the region, the fall of Burmese monarchy, the expansion of British imperialism, the Japanese aggression, and the shifting tides of war and trade. During these events, he remains a figure of calm, even as the world around him is transformed by greed and violence. Sire John responds with acceptance rather than bitterness, showing his deep understanding of impermanence and moral endurance. When Rajkumar's business begins to expand and entangle him in the exploitative system of the empire, Sire John remains morally grounded, subtly critical of the excesses of the colonial capitalism. Sire's his death and legacy, as we see at the end of the book, Sire John's death, when it occurs, is serene and reflective. He's just walking down the road and the Japanese soldiers just shoot him down and call him. And he sort of waves them away. And somehow, I don't know why, but the Japanese soldiers just shoot him. I mean, there's an old man walking, probably bent double. And his daughter's right behind, seeing what's happening. So Sire John's death, when it occurs, is serene and reflective, an event that underscores the completeness of his character. Sire John's passing feels peaceful, suggesting that his life, though modest, was lived in moral balance. His influence endures through Rajkumar, who carries fragments of his wisdom, even as he often deviates from his mentor's path. Sorry, the word deviates missing. Through these incidents, Sire John is portrayed as a moral anchor in the glass palace, a man who lives by faith and moderation in a world increasingly consumed by greed and imperial ambition. His life story of quiet dignity and endurance gives the reader a sense of contrast with the moral chaos of the British Empire or even the Japanese. In mentoring Rajkumar, Sire John not only shapes the trajectory of one life, a life which had no hope, but also symbolizes an ethical ideal which the reader would be compelled to compare with the other characters. Thank you so much.
Very nice, Abhay. Very insightful development of Saya John's character, who struck me as a very sagacious mentor who kept Rajkumar on even keel and kept trying whenever possible.
Yes.
As you said, Abhay, he symbolized the ethical ideal which others in the novel and outside could only aspire to. So thank you for that reflection. And with that, we move on to the third reflection on Uma and Dolly from Geeta Sriram. So please go ahead, Geeta.
Yeah. Thank you, Milind. Thanks, Vinita, for giving me this opportunity. I enjoyed reading this book. I was reading a very long book after a very long time. The Glass Palace brings out the disruptions of colonialism across Burma, India, and Malaya. It exposes how imperial forces not only shaped borders and economies, but also fractured identities and histories. The fall of the Burmese monarchy just symbolizes the collapse of indigenous sovereignty under colonial rule. Characters like Rajkumar, Dolly, and Uma represent individuals caught between empires. The book brings out the illusion of progress promised by the British Empire. It exposes the cultural erasures and moral ambiguities of colonialization. So I'm going to first talk about Umade's quest for new identity and then move on to Dolly. Umade was the wife of the district collector of Ratnagiri, the administrative head of the district. She performed her role as the collector's wife to the hilt. She was, however, doing it as a matter of duty and was constantly a little dissatisfied with herself. She had not yet borne a child for the collector. At the slightest mention from the collector about he expecting her to trust him more and participate more in his life, Uma had felt that the collector perhaps deserved someone better than her. She started asking herself unsettling questions. Am I only an echo of other people's desires? She wanted to leave the collector and go back to her parents. The collector, in his disappointment with their marriage, not really working well, sailed himself to his death. After this, Uma went back to her parents' place. Next slide, please. Uma, as the collector's widow, was getting a very handsome pension. Back in her parents' house, she wore white, her hair was shaved off, and she was not allowed to eat meat. However, her parents, especially her father, recognized that she deserved better than that at 28. This, when Dolly invited her to Rangoon, she immediately accepted and took a boat to Rangoon. Her new phase of life started with this. Her quest for a new identity had begun. When she leaves her hometown, she was not running away from something, but moving towards the unknown, hoping to discover what remains when everything familiar is stripped away. Uma spent a happy time with Dolly and Rajkumar. She discovered some aspects about herself. It was not within her to yield to the moment. By living with the collector for 6 years, she too had become a creature of rules and method and dogged persistence. It was her duty to turn her abilities to the task of seeking a remedy for what she has made of herself till now. Uma asked Rajkumar to book her a passage to Europe. She discovered a taste of freedom, which she enjoyed completely. She stayed in London, where she was visited by several of her husband's friends. She eventually became tired of this. Madame Kama encouraged her to visit the United States. Uma found this interesting and moved to the US. She helped locate Saya John's son Matthew and helped their family to be united again. Uma found that the United States was to her taste and did not have the tiring and ruthless hypocrisies of Europe. Uma moved into an apartment and kept herself very busy. She was a publisher's proofreader. She had associated herself with politics and attended meetings and speeches. She was also writing for some magazines. In 1929, she left America and went back to settle in Calcutta. And she took the Pacific route to take care of various engagements in Tokyo, Shanghai, Singapore. She also wanted to visit Malaya to meet her friends Matthew and Elsa, Saya John's son and daughter-in-law. She invited Dolly to join her in Malaya and promised to go back with Dolly to Burma. Uma was given a rousing welcome at Butterworth, Malaya. She was a very active participant and leader of Indian Independence League, and this got her the rousing welcome from a huge crowd when she landed. To Dolly's awe, there was a new assurance about the way Uma carried herself. Uma was accustomed to being listened to, and when she spoke, she knew what to say and how to handle the crowd. Next slide, please. Uma had met many men in New York, but men looked at her as a kind of ideal woman, a symbol of purity, and she did not mind that. While in Malaya, Uma discovered that Rajkumar had an illegitimate son through a plantation worker at Matthew's estate. The mother was just fine about getting enough money to bring up the son. However, Uma was very upset to know about the illegitimate son and also about the mother asking Uma not to interfere. Uma confronted Rajkumar and blamed him for doing immoral activities. Rajkumar retorted and said that she caused her good husband's death. They parted ways, angry about each other, and Uma flew back to Calcutta. Uma's arrival in Calcutta was an event of unparalleled significance for her family because of who she was, and also because she was coming by plane and the family got a chance to visit Dum Dum Airport. Uma was a creature of legend to her family. Her brother's children found it incredible that their heroine was a frail-looking woman with graying hair and a haggard face. Next slide, please. After returning to Calcutta, Uma spent a lot of time in bringing the Burmese rebellion to the knowledge of Indian public. However, the Indians had no time to spare for Burma. Uma supported the following thought: why should India, in the name of freedom, come to the defense of the satanic British Empire, which is a great menace to liberty? Uma joined the Gandhian movement in India and actively participated in it. In the past, she had been dismissive of Gandhi's political thinking, that is non-violence, and she had thought it was a philosophy of wish fulfillment. She now saw that the Mahatma had been decades ahead of her in his thinking, and Mahatma invited her to his ashram in Wardha. Uma had joined the Quit India movement and had been jailed. However, she fell ill in the jail and was allowed to return home. Soon after, she had unexpected visitors at her gate, and to her total surprise, it was Dolly and Rajkumar handing over a kid, their grandchild, over to Uma for bringing up the kid. Uma's niece, Manju, the mother of the child, had died. After 6 years, Dolly went back to Burma to join the Buddhist nunnery, and Rajkumar stayed on in Uma's house. Uma had promised Dolly that she would look after him. For many years, they lived in the same house, on the same floor, without much of conversation with each other. They had not forgotten the major fight they had with each other. On the final day, they did get together. Next slide, please. So that's about Uma and her wanting to find a new identity. In her quest for new identity, Uma experiments with new versions of herself. And I'm not going to read through the whole thing. And Uma's relationships serve as mirrors for her evolving sense of self. And her quest is both spiritual and psychological, to reconcile the freedom to change with the need to remain whole. So that's all about Uma. We'll move on to Dolly. Next slide, please. In The Glass Palace, Dolly stands out as one of the most quietly powerful characters. She was emotionally a little complex. I would attribute it to her background as an orphan, having been brought up from childhood to serve the royal family, the overall responsibilities she wielded as the longest-serving person of the royal family, and her education during the royal family's exile in Ratnagiri. Her morality, that is, a sense of right and wrong, surprised me initially, but I attributed that to her education. Her loyalty to people, to love, to her past was very strong, and I would like to say pragmatic too. Next slide, please. Dolly's conflict between morality and royalty is what Vinita had given as a theme for me to talk about. So I'm doing that in about 7 or 8 steps. When we first meet Dolly, she's a young orphan serving Queen Supailat in the Burmese royal court. Her loyalty to the queen is absolute. She follows her exile into the British invasion. She follows her into exile after the British invasion, even when the royal household starts to crumble. But as the queen becomes bitter and rigid, Dolly begins to see how destructive blind loyalty can be. She remains caring and respectful, yet she starts to question the moral cost of her devotion, quietly showing that loyalty without compassion or moral awareness can become a form of imprisonment. She discusses at length in Konkani with the driver Kanoji about the first princess's pregnancy, not wanting Umade to hear about it, lest Uma's husband takes action on the father Sawan, who was a servant at the king's household. She knows that it is morally incorrect and will not be looked at with approval by the British. The collector will have to provide a marriage certificate too if the relationship is to be legalized into a marriage. But her loyalty to the king's family and the princess makes her refuse to divulge details to Uma of what she discussed with the driver. It's only after Uma promised to keep it a secret and not reveal it to her husband that she shares the details with Uma. Next, please. Next slide, please. Dolly defies her royalty to the royal family and goes ahead with the marriage to Rajkumar and moves with him to Burma. Uma helps her too to realize that she's not obliged to continue with the royal family and that she can be on her own. Her espousing Rajkumar to Burma, her marrying him was all morally and legally right, but conflicted with her loyalty to the royal family. She gives it a good and quick thought when Sawant encourages her and takes a quick decision to go ahead and join Rajkumar. Dolly was not comfortable with the business that Rajkumar had taken up. She did not find it morally right. Rajkumar builds his wealth through the colonial economy, which benefits from the suffering and displacement of others. Dolly recognizes this imbalance, yet she remains loyal to him and the family. Her loyalty towards Rajkumar made her accept his business and live along with him anyway. She understands that loyalty and love often exist in a morally gray space. Next slide, please. Dolly found herself spending less time and thought on Rajkumar and Neil when Dinu was recuperating. At one point of time, Rajkumar brought it to her attention and told her that she was leaving them behind. However, she found that something had changed in her by the time Dinu's recuperation had completed. Not that she was unhappy with Rajkumar or felt nothing for him, but she was more interested in joining a Buddhist nunnery. She did not do it immediately as she wanted to see Rajkumar and the children settle down in India or somewhere away from Burma where they will be safe before she joined Sagai, which is the nunnery. With her loyalty to Rajkumar still intact, she felt partly responsible for Rajkumar fathering a child with a plantation worker in Malaya. Although Rajkumar's act lacked morality, Dolly felt it her moral duty to support the child for his upbringing and education. As Dolly grows older, her loyalty expands beyond individuals to something more universal, empathy for others caught in the chaos of history. Whether it's her children, her community, or the displaced people around her, Dolly's compassion becomes her model. Few additional thoughts. Maybe I will not go through the whole thing. Dolly does not resolve the tension between morality and loyalty, but she learns to live within it, guided by kindness rather than ideology. That quiet moral strength makes her one of the most memorable figures in the book. In today's world, where we are often pulled between personal loyalty and moral conviction, Dolly's quiet wisdom feels surprisingly modern. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geeta. Very insightful development of both characters, Uma and Dolly. I like your turn of phrase. For example, Uma was a creature of legend to her family. The firebrand aunt who had dedicated herself to a life of politics instead of accepting the usual lot of the Hindu widow completes the character description really well. As far as Dolly goes, your description of her balancing morality and loyalty, guided by kindness rather than ideology, was a very good observation. And her quiet moral strength and wisdom that make her look modern. You've chosen few apt words for capturing the character of Dolly. So thank you for those insights. And with that, we turn to our final reflector, who, as Vinita said, was also partly responsible for the selection of books, Manas, who will deal with the characters of Arjun and Dinu. Go ahead, Manas.
I hope he's not muted.
Yeah.
I hope he's not muted.
I'm getting. I was waiting for the slide to show up.
Okay.
Great.
Go ahead.
Just give me a second. I'm wondering if let's see. I don't think the whole slide is showing, but all right. I'm going to go through it. Okay, so the Glass Palace spans vast, it should be spatial, spatial and temporal dimensions, with characters shaping and being shaped by larger forces, such as grand historical transformations, while being a part of the thread of the novel's rich tapestry that ties personal ambition, struggle, love, and death. In addition to the overarching theme of colonialism, the characters are parts of intimate and personal themes relating to the human psyche, which connect with and contribute to the novel. Arjun and Dinu are two such ancillary but fascinating characters. Arjun is a significant character who serves as a symbol of the complexities of identity, belonging, and loyalty in colonial India. As a young officer in the British Indian Army, Arjun's journey is marked by his struggles with identity, morality, and loyalty. His background is rooted in Indian culture, but his education and career are shaped by British colonialism. He is trained to serve the British Empire, and his identity is torn between his Indian heritage and British ideals. The internal conflict is reflected in his relationships and choices throughout the novel. If we can move to the next slide. So, as an Indian serving in the British Army, he struggles to reconcile his loyalty to the British with his Indian roots. Arjun's sense of belonging is constantly questioned, and he finds himself caught between the two worlds. His ideals of British education and military service create a rift between him and his family. As a soldier, Arjun is expected to follow orders and be loyal to the British Empire. However, his experiences during World War II and the Malayan campaign force him to confront the harsh realities of war and the moral implications of his actions. Arjun's loyalty is tested when he is ordered to participate in the brutal suppression of local resistance in Malaya. He is torn between his duty as a soldier and his moral obligation to protect innocent civilians. This conflict ultimately leads to a crisis of conscience, and Arjun is forced to reevaluate his loyalties and values. Arjun's relationships with other characters, such as Dinu, further highlight the themes of identity and loyalty. His friendship with Dinu, a member of the Indian diaspora in Burma, serves as a reminder of the complexities of identity and belonging in a colonial context. In the context of the novel, Arjun's story serves as a powerful commentary on the human cost of war and colonialism. We can go to the next one. So now we come to Dinu. So Dinu, the youngest son of Rajkumar and Dolly, is a pivotal character in the novel. Dinu's journey is marked by his introspective nature, creative pursuit, struggles with identity. As a photographer, he captures the world's beauty and complexity, reflecting his thoughtful and artistic personality. Am I audible, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Pretty much audible.
Good, good. Okay, so Dinu grows up in a multicultural environment, exposed to various influences that shape his worldview. His father, Rajkumar, is the Indian entrepreneur who made his fortune in Burma, while his mother, Dolly, is a Burmese woman with royal connections. This diverse background instills in Dinu a sense of adaptability and openness. As a member of the Indian diaspora in Burma, Dinu grapples with his identity and sense of belonging. With World War II, his life is disrupted, and he's forced to confront the harsh realities of war and loyalty. Dinu's friendship with Alison, a British girl, and her grandfather, Sire John, puts him in a difficult position. As the Japanese invasion intensifies, he must choose between his loyalty to his friends and his own survival. This is exemplified when Alison and her grandfather try to flee to Singapore, and Dinu decides to let them go, since his presence might put them in greater danger. She can move on to the next one. So, throughout the novel, Dinu faces numerous moral dilemmas that test his loyalty and principles. For instance, when Arjun, a former friend and army officer, joins the British Army, Dinu is torn between his loyalty to his friend and his disagreement with Arjun's actions. The conflict ultimately leads to a deeper understanding of himself and the complexities of human relationships. Dinu's experiences during the war and its aftermath shape his perspectives on morality and loyalty. He comes to realize that these values are not fixed or absolute, but rather context-dependent and nuanced. This realization allows him to navigate the complexities of his own identity and relationships. And I thought that Dinu's passion for photography really serves as a metaphor for his search for truth and understanding. Through his lens, he captures the beauty and complexity of the world around him, reflecting his desire to make sense of the chaos and uncertainty of life. And now we move to the final slide. So Dinu's character in The Glass Palace is really a powerful exploration of the human condition, marked by conflicts between morality and loyalty. Through his journey, Ghosh highlights the complexities of identity, culture, and human relationships, offering a nuanced portrayal of the human experience itself. In the context of the novel, Dinu's story serves as a counterpoint to the larger historical narrative, emphasizing the personal and emotional costs of war and colonialism. His character reminds us that even in the midst of turmoil and uncertainty, individuals must navigate complex moral choices and grapple with the consequences of their actions. Ultimately, Dinu's story, I thought, is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of art to capture and convey the complexity of the human experience. So that's it, folks. And Yanks, I always do the PowerPoint with pictures. So what I lack in content, I make up with images. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Manas. I liked your characterization of Arjun as a significant character who serves as a symbol of the complexities of identity, belonging, and loyalty in colonial India. And as you just said, you also often use very good visuals to give finishing touches to your reflection, like the classic shutter camera indicating Dinu's passion for photography that Rama also mentioned in the chat box, that serves as a metaphor for Dinu's search for truth and understanding. So that was a nice way of concluding all the reflections based on characters that I thought were so well developed in the novel. So thank you all reflectors, and now let's turn to the open session.
So I wanted to bring 2 points which are quite interesting because of history. The first is this book by Sam Dalrymple has brought out, this whole thing that there were 5 partitions to the British Indian Empire. I wasn't even aware of that. So formally, Burma got separated in 1938, and of course after Japanese. So that 1938, there was a big migration of Indians back from Rangoon to various parts of India in 1938. And then, of course, there was the forced migration, which is described in the book. So that's kind of one interesting point. And I think from a book club perspective, we should think about this, reading the Sam Dalrymple book. The second, which is a much more narrow thing, there's a section in the book which is set in California with the Ghadar party, right? The Sardars. And so it reminds me that since I'm living here, and I've actually never been there, the headquarters of the Ghadar party was in 436 Hill Street. So I'm thinking of going there and maybe this weekend or something and taking some photographs, because it's a very historical place, the Ghadar party, right?
Yep.
And the whole sort of fight for freedom.
Yeah, he slips in a lot of these little vignettes, Madame Kama and so on, and he goes right along. He doesn't stop too much, but he drops all these little vignettes along the way. It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, there are many such things. The whole kind of Ratnagiri story and the collective.
Maybe send us some photographs if you go there.
If I go there, yes. Yeah. 436 Hill Street. Okay.
No, it was very interesting. In the last couple of weeks, I met 2 people who, the subject of Burma came up. One was my brother-in-law, and he's made some policy notes on Burma, Myanmar, for the government of India right now. And what he was telling me is that, there are places in Burma, I don't remember the name of the town, there are like thousands of Indian temples there along the Irrawaddy. I mean, the Irrawaddy is a great river. And like somebody also captured in his commentary, Rajkumar felt that Irrawaddy was a greater river than even the Ganges. So it's very interesting how much of Hindu, how many Indians went there. And the other interesting thing, they talk about indentured labor. At least I didn't know what indentured labor is. And I set about finding out about it. So indentured labor is when they took the labor from India on a contract, where they said, from anywhere. But indentured means they take, it's a contract. They don't pay you. They just give you some, a place to stay, food, and you get paid at the end of the contract, maybe after 2 years or 3. So it's almost like a slave. That's what indentured labor is. And India sent a lot of people from here to not only Burma, but other.
They were called Girmits, Tanku.
Girmit,
an agreement, no? And they were paid money at that time when they signed the agreement.
And they get hooked. That's how they get hooked.
Yeah.
Very interesting. One interesting fact is that, which is not mentioned, is from the area where we come from, Trivi, the Andhra, most of the people in that period went to Rangoon as like dhobis. In fact, most of the dhobis in that era were from our district.
The dhobis.
Washermen.
So
there is a big connection.
I vote along with Trivi. Let's read The Golden Road. I think it's a terrific book.
I agree.
Golden Road is a separate book.
Yeah.
Not Golden Road, Gautam. This is by
Shattered Lands.
Sam
This is
Dalrymple.
by William's son, Sam Dalrymple.
Oh, this is the son.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the name again?
And it's
Shattered-
called Shattered Lands.
Shattered Lands.
Yeah, but the
Snippets
Golden
from the
Road,
Golden Road, it's terrific also.
yeah, the Golden Road is by William Dalrymple. His latest.
Yeah, correct.
But Gautam, what Trivi highlighted about Shattered Lands, the 5 partitions and of India, including Pakistan and Bangladesh, and the fact that Yemen, the relationship between Aden and Yemen to India, the fact that in Bombay we still have a Muscati corner and we have Adenwala, we don't know this. Those the Middle East where you are living.
Yeah, so relevant to all of us now,
Yeah. And what he said, one line over there was so interesting. He said that the Middle East behaves as if everything started with oil and that people always wore the dish dashes. But before that, they used to wear sherwanis. And
Wow.
yes, and he talks about the sheikhs, the Khimji Sheikh, and he also spoke about why Reliance has become so powerful. Because when the trouble occurred, Reliance guy Ambani recruited all the entrepreneurs from Aden. So the original employees of Reliance were all the guys who were displaced. Trivi, thanks for highlighting it. It's a fantastic book.
Let's
and
read
Ishan
this book. By the way, Anjali, in line with what you're saying, I have seen a picture of Dhirubhai Ambani in what is like a pigeonhole in Aden. And he's peeking out, It's like those post boxes you have in the US outside homes. And he's peeping out, Dhirubhai Ambani.
Yeah.
And if I can say one thing more, Ishan and I were so impressed with these stories of the Glass Palace, etc., that we went to Myanmar. And there we saw to our amazement that the Mughal king was cremated and buried there.
Yes.
Here these guys were brought to Ratnagiri.
Bahadur Shah Zafar.
Yeah, he was.
And the famous lines of his, Do Gaj Ki.
Do Gaj Ki Zameen.
Yeah. And by the way, Chacha was supposed to organize a tour to Myanmar. I don't know what happened. Mukul was planning.
Mukul was going to do that.
But how many people have visited? Has anyone visited this Outram House and all that in Ratnagiri? Anyone? I have not.
No. In fact, I know somebody who worked in Nosal, and when I mentioned to him, he was posted in Nosal's plant in Ratnagiri. He says, I don't know. Nobody talks about it. So maybe
some of it could be made up also.
Maybe I think for sure the king was there, right? For sure.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, the King Thibaw was there. But somebody told me, the other gentleman that I met recently, in fact, just yesterday, was an ambassador to Burma. And he said the King Thibaw was allowed to build his palace in Ratnagiri.
Yeah.
It was not just Outram House, but he actually built his palace. And then
The book also
that.
Book that Sudha has written, Sudha Shah on Burma. You have that, no?
Yes, I have that also. I'll put the name. I think it's called The King and I. I'll just look for it.
A friend of ours has written a book, The Burmese King.
Yeah, Rama has raised his hand for a while, so let's give him a chance. Go ahead, Rama.
Polite.
Yes.
Thanks. No, I was just saying 2 things. One is that while the discussion was going on, I did see a picture of the Thibaw Palace in Ratnagiri, and the description in the book is so accurate compared to it. And the second thing is that, if I recall correctly, Nidhi's brother-in-law was the district collector of Ratnagiri some time back. So maybe sometime you should ask her for her insights through her brother-in-law about how the palace is. As Anjali remarked, it is now it seems to be expected, but it was pretty weird how they shifted the Mughal king to Burma and brought the Burmese king into India. But that was also a reflection of the contiguous domains from Malaya to Afghanistan that the British thought was existing.
No, what's cruel? I mean, it's the British who were so clever and cruel. I mean, why would they choose a place like Ratnagiri to banish this King Thibaw? I mean, they just wanted him far away.
As far away as possible. That's all.
As far away as possible. And in the book also they say that although the British give a sense of high morality, and they're treating the king like royalty, and they're giving him a lot of concessions, whatever. But at the same time, they completely control whom he meets, what are the discussions, and it's very, very highly controlled freedom that the British gave to King Thibaw. And I'm sure, of course, Bahadur Shah Zafar was in a very bad state. I mean, he was in chains. He was chained and taken to Rangoon.
You know, the other thing that I found interesting is that the British...
Milind, Geeta also wants to talk and say something.
Oh, sorry. Geeta, go ahead.
Yeah, just some trivia I wanted to add. Last week, a friend of mine from the US had come and stayed with us for some time, and she wanted to go jewelry shopping. And with whatever I've read in this book, The Glass Palace, I knew that Burma was kind of famous for precious and semi-precious stones like rubies and sapphires. And so it helped me choose good rubies for this girl whom I had taken jewelry shopping. So that happened last week. Just wanted to add that. You know, there's a good description of rubies from Burma and sapphires from Burma.
Geeta, it gets even better if you read this. I was listening to the Sam Dalrymple podcast. Apparently, Rangoon was such a cosmopolitan city.
Yes.
It was way richer than Calcutta, way more diversity, really big trading center, and superbly wealthy.
Okay.
Huge, yeah. I mean, like that was the, before the, like in the, I guess in the 1920s or 10s, early 20th century. It was like a super important place. Yeah.
Like people used to go to, the Middle East, Dubai to make money, and earlier before that,
so Rangoon was like that.
South Africa or to Nigeria, places like Nigeria, to make money. Indians traveling there. Before that, it was Rangoon.
Yeah.
And I believe Rangoon has a beautiful golf course. Beautiful golf course built by the British.
So, Chacha, we have to go to Burma.
I know. Good idea.
And we can take the cruise down the river Irrawaddy. Ishan and I did it.
Is that right? Wow.
Shankar, the road to Mandalay by Somerset Maugham.
Yeah.
So because of that, we took the cruise. It's not a cruise. I mean, it's just an ordinary river boat. And when Ishan saw it, he was quite nervous because it looked so rickety. But it was just a special experience when you read about.
And it just goes to Mandalay from Yangon to Mandalay. Is that all?
We did only that bit.
Not further up. Didn't go further up.
We didn't go further up. There were no jetties. You had to sort of go from boat to boat to climb on, and it was a different experience. But the pagodas, the bustling.
Maybe we need to do the 5-star version of this.
And what you said, that Rangoon was richer than New York.